In this video, we will go through the cash flow from operations and how to create the cash flow from operations. And we have that section of the cash flow statement right here. Before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about the cash flow statement handout. So here's the handout that you can use to help you create the cash flow statement. And it goes through the 5 steps of creating a cash flow statement. Step 1 is complete the cash flow from operations, and it tells you how to do that. Complete the cash flow from investing, it tells you how to do that. Complete the cash flow from financing, it tells you how to do that. Compute the net change in cash, it tells you how to do that. And check your net change and cash number, it tells you how to do that. So if you follow these steps, and this goes step by step through the entire process of creating a cash flow statement, then you will do really well. The other thing it has in this back section is sometimes people get confused about, well, what do I use to compute cash flow from operating activities? And what do I use to compute cash flow from financing activities? And what do I use to compute cash flow from investing activities? Well, the second page of this handout breaks down the assets by current assets, current liabilities, and it tells you which section of the balance sheet corresponds to which section of the cash flow statement. So you'll see current assets, current liabilities is used for operating activities as well as the income statement. And then long-term liabilities and equities is used for financing activities. And then long-term assets is used for investing activities. So this is a really helpful tool to help you complete the cash flow statement. All right, so how do we complete the cash flow from operations? We'll do the first part in this video, and then we'll do the second part, which is a little bit more challenging, in a part 2 of this video. So the first thing you have to do is you've got to have a completed income statement. You've got to have a completed retained earnings statement. You've got to have a completed balance sheet, right? So that balance sheet is done. And then for the balance sheet, you will need the current assets. So this balance sheet is December 31st, 2020. You're going to need the 2020 balances, but you're also going to need the 2019 balances for current assets and current liabilities, and that's provided here, and we'll look at that a little bit later. All right, so now we have the income statement, we have the statement of retained earnings, we have the balance sheet. Now we can complete the cash flow statement. So if we look at our handout, we can follow this step by step. So the first step, it says, is start with net income or net loss from the income statement. So on the cash flow statement, the first thing we need to pull is the net income or net loss from the income statement. So I'm going to go to the income statement, and I'm going to look for my net income. My net income is $40,000. So I'm going to come back on the cash flow statement, and I'm going to put in $40,000. And that's it, right? Really, really simple. Okay, so that's the first step. The next step is add any depreciation, amortization, or depletion expense from the income statement. So we go to the income statement and we look for any depreciation, amortization, or depletion. If it's any of these 3, we're going to put it on the cash flow statement and we're going to add these. Okay, so I'm going to go to the income statement and I'm going to look for depreciation. Here's my depreciation expense of $5,000. So I'm going to go to the cash flow statement. I'm going to have depreciation expense of $5,000. Now, there's a reason that depreciation expense is added on the cash flow statement. We're going to learn about that later when we get to the fixed asset chapter. But for now, just know that depreciation is added. Okay? And then it says, minus any gains on disposal of long-term assets from the income statement. So if we have any gains, we need to minus gains. All right? So I'm going to go to the income statement. And this section is where I have my gains and losses. I see gains of $3,000. On the cash flow statement, it says that I need to minus those gains. So I'm going to put it as a minus sign, right? It says minus any gains on the disposal of long-term assets. And then it says add any losses on disposal of long-term assets from the income statement. So I'm going to go to the income statement, and I'm going to look for losses. I have losses of 1,000, and my instructions are to add any losses. So what that means is I need to put losses as a positive number. Okay? And so those 1, 2, 3, 4, those are the first 4 steps of the cash flow statement. Net income, we pull it over from the income statement. Depreciation expense, we pull that over from the income statement as a positive. Losses, we pull that over as a positive. Gains, we pull that over as a negative always. So we add losses, we subtract gains, we add depreciation expense. If net income is positive, we put it in as a positive. If net income is negative, we put it in as a negative. All right, so that's the first part of the cash flow from operating activities. Now I'm going to stop the video here and I'm going to create part 2, which is going to go through the other section of operating activities, which is a little bit more challenging.